As he stepped out of the teleportation booth, Thomas felt a familiar sense of disorientation. It wasn't the teleportation itself that bothered him. He'd done it countless times before, but the uncertainty of where he'd end up. The Temporal Reassignment Agency's motto, "Anywhere, Anywhen," was both a promise and a threat. Thomas looked around, taking stock of his new surroundings. He found himself on a crowded, bustling street, surrounded by towering buildings that seemed to lean in, as if listening to his thoughts. The air was thick with the smells of exotic spices and ozone. People of all shapes and sizes hurried past him, their faces a blur of concern and distraction. A small, elegantly dressed woman with piercing green eyes approached him, a holographic badge hovering above her left shoulder. "Thomas, welcome to New Elysium, currently orbiting Andromeda 4. I'm Agent Rachel Martinez. You've been reassigned to our department for creative differences." Thomas raised an eyebrow. "Creative differences?" Rachel smiled, her eyes glinting with amusement. "Let's just say your unique approach to problem-solving has been deemed incompatible with the Prime timeline. You're now part of our Temporal Containment and Realignment Division." Thomas's gaze narrowed. "What's the mission?" Rachel's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. "We've detected an anomalous dimensional fracture near the Rift of Eternal Return. We need someone with your flexibility to investigate and contain the damage." Thomas's instincts screamed warning, but he had no choice. He was a temporal operative bound to serve. "When do I start?" Rachel's smile returned, more radiant than before. "You started the moment you stepped out of that booth, Thomas. You have 37.4 hours to contain the fracture before it unravels the fabric of reality." Thomas nodded, his mind racing with the implications. "What's the situation on the ground?" Rachel handed him a slim, silver briefcase. "Everything you need to know is in here. We've assembled a local team to assist you. They're waiting at the Rift's coordinates." Thomas took the briefcase, feeling the familiar weight of equipment and secrets within. He opened it, scanning the contents. A temporal analyzer, a reality anchor, and a small, cryptic note that read, "Beware the cartographers." As he closed the briefcase, Rachel vanished, leaving Thomas to navigate the bustling streets of New Elysium. He flagged down a grav taxi, and the AI driver, a smooth-voiced androgynous presence, whisked him away to the Rift's coordinates. The taxi dropped Thomas at the edge of a sprawling, labyrinthine market. Stalls and shops seemed to twist and writhe like living things, their wares a dizzying array of temporal artifacts and forbidden knowledge. Thomas spotted his team. A hulking, four-armed humanoid named Grimgold, a slender, insectoid being with iridescent wings, introduced as Zephyr, and a hooded figure, face obscured, who only responded to Raven. "The rift is this way," Grimgold rumbled, gesturing toward a swirling auroral gateway. "We've detected anomalous energy signatures and other things." As they approached the rift, Thomas felt the air thicken with anticipation. Zephyr flitted ahead, scouting the perimeter, while Raven lagged behind, an enigmatic presence at the edge of Thomas's awareness. Grimgold led the way, his four arms rippling with an otherworldly strength. At the rift's threshold, Thomas hesitated. The auroral glow intensified, bathing them in an unearthly light. A low, whispery voice seemed to emanate from the rift itself, speaking in a language that made Thomas's mind recoil. "What's that?" he asked, his skin crawling. Grimgold's eyes glowed like embers. "The cartographers. They're mapping the inner workings of reality." Thomas gut tightened. He remembered the cryptic note. "Beware the cartographers." Thomas's grip on the temporal analyzer tightened as he peered into the swirling vortex. The whispers grew louder, weaving into a maddening chant that made his teeth ache. Zephyr darted closer, her wings beating rapidly as she hovered at the edge of the rift. "Thomas, I'm reading a dimensional breach," Zephyr warned, her voice like a gentle breeze amidst the cacophony. "Whatever's on the other side is trying to get out." Grimgold's massive frame blocked the entrance, his arms braced against the rift's energy. "I've got this held back, but it won't last long." Raven emerged from the shadows, their hood thrown back to reveal a death's mask of a face, skin like cracked porcelain. The cartographers are attempting to rewrite the underlying code of reality. Thomas's eyes locked onto Raven's. What do you mean? Their mappings are reshaping the fabric of space-time. Raven continued, their voice like dry leaves. If they succeed, our reality will be recompiled into a realm of infinite possibility and infinite danger. Zephyr's wings fluttered wildly as she darted closer to Thomas. We need to shut this down now. Thomas raised the temporal analyzer, its readout screaming with urgency. I'm detecting a resonance frequency. If we can synchronize our equipment to match. Grimgold's massive frame stumbled, his grip on the rift faltering. The whispers surged to a deafening crescendo, and the air seemed to rip apart as a figure emerged from the swirling energies. The cartographer stood tall, its body a labyrinth of intersecting lines and glowing nodes. Eyes like black holes gazed upon Thomas, and the air was heavy with the scent of rewritten realities. You should not have come here, it declared, voice like the rustling of ancient parchments. The multiverse will be reborn in our image. Thomas felt the weight of the temporal analyzer, its power coursing through him like a promise. He knew that the stakes had never been higher, and the fate of reality hung in the balance. With a deep breath, Thomas raised the temporal analyzer, its screens flashing with urgent warnings. Zephyr hovered beside him, her wings humming in sync with the device's power core. Grimgold's massive frame stumbled backward, still straining to hold back the rift's energy. Raven's mask-like face seemed to absorb the chaos, their eyes glinting with an otherworldly intensity. The cartographer's gaze never wavered, its presence warping the fabric of reality. Thomas felt the air thicken, as if the very notion of possibility was being rewritten before his eyes. Now, Thomas whispered, his finger hovering over the analyzer's activation stud. Zephyr's wings beat in perfect harmony with the device's hum, amplifying its power. The temporal analyzer's screens flared with energy, and a blast of chronal force erupted from the device. The cartographer raised a hand, its nodes flashing in response, but Thomas had anticipated this. The resonance frequency, synchronized with Zephyr's wing beats, harmonized with the rift's energy. The cartographer's mapping attempts were disrupted, its hold on reality faltering. Grimgold, sensing the opening, surged forward, his four arms grasping for the cartographer. The air rippled with distorted probabilities as the two forces clashed. Raven vanished, only to reappear beside the cartographer, their mask-like face inches from its glowing nodes. For an instant, Thomas glimpsed an abyss of possibilities within the cartographer's gaze, only to have it shattered by Raven's presence. The cartographer's form began to dissolve, its essence dispersing into the swirling vortex. As the last of its energy dissipated, the rift's power surged, threatening to consume everything in its path. Thomas, Zephyr, and Grimgold stumbled backward, their bond forged in the heat of battle. Raven, still enigmatic, gestured for them to follow. Together, they fled the labyrinthine market, chased by the echoes of rewritten realities and the whispers of the cartographers. Their next stop, the lost city of Erebos, where ancient secrets awaited and the fabric of reality hung in the balance. As they escaped the rift's influence, Thomas felt the weight of their mission settling upon him. The cartographers, though defeated, had left behind a trail of temporal breadcrumbs, leading them deeper into the labyrinth of time. Raven, ever enigmatic, handed Thomas a small, ornate box. For Erebos, they whispered, before disappearing into the shadows. Within the box, Thomas found a cryptic map etched on a sliver of temporal crystal. The map hinted at hidden pathways, ancient artifacts, and forbidden knowledge. Zephyr's wings fluttered excitedly as she examined the crystal, her eyes aglow with an otherworldly intensity. Grimgold, sensing the gravity of their quest, nodded solemnly. We have a path to follow. Erebos awaits. Their journey took them through realms both familiar and unknown. They navigated the clockwork spires of Kronos, where gears and pendulums orchestrated the delicate dance of time. They traversed the shattered Isles of Echoes, where whispers of forgotten events echoed through the hollows of forgotten hours. As they approached the shores of Erebos, a city shrouded in perpetual dusk, Thomas sensed the weight of history bearing down upon them. The lost city, rumored to hold the secrets of time itself, lay before them, its gates guarded by enigmatic keepers of forgotten lore. "Erebos," Zephyr whispered, her wings beating with an anticipatory rhythm. Grimgold's massive frame led the way, his four arms beckoning the shadows to part. Thomas followed, the temporal analyzer at the ready, as they delved into the heart of the city. Raven reappeared, their mask-like face an enigma, as they guided them through winding streets and ancient temples. The air was heavy with the scent of forgotten knowledge, and the whispers of the cartographers still lingered, echoing through the halls of Erebos. Their journey had only just begun, for in the heart of Erebos lay the secrets of the time stream itself, and Thomas, Zephyr, Grimgold, and Raven were about to uncover the hidden patterns that governed the very fabric of reality.